Hello, quantum community, and welcome to our weekly conversations on love and relationships. In just a few minutes, I'm going to be bringing on my colleague, Shawn Christian, so we can share on a conversation topic that is really, really hot, and it is forgiveness. And it's interesting, even since we posted about this topic, I've received so many messages, even here on Instagram, with people saying, I really want to bring more forgiveness in my life. I don't want to be holding and carrying resentment. I want to be able to deeply love again. So thank you all for joining us. So happy that you're here. And I want to remind you that love is the new currency. The return on our investment is priceless because it is the depth and degree of love and meaningful relationships that we have in our lives that bring us the greatest fulfillment. And at the end of this story of our lives, it is the love that we give and receive that we take with us. We are biochemically wired to deeply bond with one another. So today's conversation will be all about how we can access deeper levels of love in relationship with ourselves, right? Our primary relationship, and of course, in those sacred relationships in our lives. Stand by just a moment and we'll see. Welcome, everyone. So happy that you're here, that you've joined. There you are, Shawn. Hello.
It's so good to see you.
I know.
Hello.
So good to see you and everybody here as always. We're getting better at this
Absolutely.
popping in. This is good.
I know we're improving. Improving on the user experience
Oh
of
my God.
technology. I was just sharing with our community
Yeah.
how wonderful it is to come together every week and have these deep dives on love and relationship, and also how the response has been when everyone saw our topic today on forgiveness. And Shawn, I think this is such a important conversation to have. And even though we're here just on Instagram Live and we can't dive as deeply as we're going to be
I know.
doing when we're together for our in-person retreat programs in Malibu. Of course, we would love to have you join us there in Malibu in May, and also Santa Barbara at the end of April. Hello from
Yeah.
Michigan. Welcome, welcome,
Yeah, my people
welcome.
out there. I see you, Karen. I see you.
But I want to start with this one quote. This is actually a favorite quote of my daughter, who's 13, from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And of course, I'm paraphrasing here. But when we are devoid of the ability to forgive, we are unable to truly love. And I just like us all to take that in for a moment, because that is a powerful statement and a powerful truth.
Yes. I'm just letting that
Awesome.
wash over me a moment. I mean, if anybody out there has comments on exactly how that resonates for you, or if you're struggling with that, by the way, and you might well be.
Yeah.
But it's such a brilliant statement because it goes right back to love. It,
Exactly, exactly.
right?
And it's such a reminder, right? Because without forgiveness, we can't truly be open, we can't truly receive, we can't fully give love in the way that we truly desire. So before Shawn and I go in and talk about some of the tips and techniques and insight and story and power of forgiveness, let's reflect a moment on what happens when we don't forgive. And I think this is something that we can all relate or identify with a particular aspect of this. And also, as an overarching framework, in today's conversation, let's keep the focus on ourselves. And here's why. So many times we realize that there's someone in our lives that maybe we want to forgive or we feel like we should forgive, but we're not ready to. And the truth is, we can't force ourselves to forgive anyone. And we can't, it's not something that we can contrive, right? It has to come organically. But the first step is focusing inward on the self. So as we're talking about some of the aspects or ramifications when we don't forgive and what happens when we do, just bring that focus inward in a place of deep compassion for yourself. You're right. This is big. This is such a huge conversation. And I know it's like I'm certain, Shawn, we could talk about this for hours, but
Yeah.
yeah, I want to just mention a few things, and everyone, please put your thoughts into the chat. But what happens when we don't embody forgiveness, when we don't invite it into our own lives, right? We can feel bitter, resentment, angry, even rageful, right?
Absolutely.
Sadness that can turn into deep grief, guilt and shame, right? And so we know that all of these emotions don't feel good in the body, the mind, right, or in our spirit. Shawn, what are
So
your thoughts
true.
on this?
No, I think, well, that is exactly, if we're talking about forgiveness, and you'll always hear me talk about this in any aspect of our life or any personal challenge or anything we're struggling with or anything we want to accomplish. I will say this every moment. Focus on you. Start there, right? Is the best, healthiest, most profound place to be.
Yeah.
Because any of those expectations from the external world, if someone's hurt you or if you start there, you have expectations from someone else trying to help, and fix you. So my big thing is plead with grace and compassion and no judgment, right? That's the beauty of healing, right? So the moment, my first thing is really focus on you and figure out your feelings. That, just to start, right? Because, if you're like, okay, well, I don't, but they did this, 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 and this. I'm like, okay, all right, I want to, right? But if your energy is going there and you're expecting them to fix and heal this broken relationship or this healing, yes, if you agree, put a heart out there, 100%. Because now you have an opportunity to go, okay, what can I control? What can I not control? I can't control anything that's happening in the external world. I can't. I can try to manipulate. I wouldn't suggest that, but that's where we get twisted and tied up. So you're absolutely right, Adora. The best place to begin to start is you.
Yeah.
It really starts to go, yes. So, because you are the conduit to this healing. You are the process. I talk about it again. You are the creator, architect, author, writer of your story, of your life.
So true. And when we can bring that focus inward and bring the energy of forgiveness to ourselves, all the places where we are self-critical, right? All those places where we hold judgment, where we feel shame or guilt for something that happened in the past or something in what we've said or done, how we look, right? All of these elements are powerful and they are stored within us. And again, coming back to that quote by Martin Luther King, and if we don't forgive, how can we fully be open to receive and give the love, experience the love that we so lovingly desire, so deeply desire? Is that your puppy for a minute? I thought that was you.
Where you at? He wants to get up here. Come here. You're capable of doing it.
I love it.
Yes. I got so many. They're all back there everywhere. All right. Yeah, it's not just furry.
I know you're like
furry dogs.
the animal whisperer.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm definitely the animal whisperer. And I'll riff on that a little bit because that is, in my opinion, the next step, right? Remember, you can't fix them. You're not there to fix and heal them, right? So, but what is your intention? So you mentioned love. So, okay, love is my intention. Or you may not even be there yet. You may go, my intention is to hurt them the way they hurt me, right? If you're acknowledging that right out of the gate, you go, wow. And I'll ask yourself these 3 questions, right? Am I here to hurt them the way they hurt me, perhaps? Am I there to help them? Am I now their fixer? Or am I here? My intention is to heal myself. And you just very simple places to start. Like, what's my intention? What am I trying to get? I want revenge. Do I want to fix them? I don't want them to hurt someone like they hurt me. Like, slowly, one thing at a time. But if you're not healing from that to begin with, it's very difficult to help and heal. And certainly you don't want to hurt someone else, but that you may feel like that. And don't judge
Yeah.
that moment. Just realize, I'm in this situation not because I'm supposed to hurt, I'm supposed to feel this anguish. It's to heal and grow. Oh, that's my intention, right?
Exactly. And
Beautiful
intention
perspective.
is so powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is, and it is not only just a mental experience, an emotional experience. Intention is biochemical in nature. Where our intention goes, our energy flows. That is the energy of creation. There's biochemical activity in the brain that follows our intention. And that's why it's so powerful to acknowledge the places where we feel hurt or betrayed,
Mm-hmm.
grief, loss, all of these aspects of our emotional experience of life, because we all have them.
Yeah.
And when we can catch them, release them in the moment, it becomes so much more powerful to have our focused intention create more positive experiences, deeper manifestations of love, and healthy, harmonious relationships. And we'll talk about a practice that you can all use that I've mentioned before, but it's so important because the truth is, we used to think that it took 3 weeks to create a new habit. But in the brain, more studies have shown that it can take up to a year for a new habit practice to become an automatic response.
Yeah.
So these practices that we're sharing with you each and every week, these tools and techniques, and ones that we'll be diving more deeply into in Malibu in our events in California, these
Yeah.
are practices to bring into your life consistently, because it's the consistency of our actions that create the stepping stone effect of those quantum leaps that we want, but they start with small steps. And when we look at forgiveness and we bring the focus inward, what we start to see is that ultimately it's ourselves that we are locking into these prisons of limitation or of pain or of suffering, because we hold ourselves up to such a high state of existence, being, relating to others, relating to ourselves. And when we don't meet our own high standards of expectation, well, what happens, right? We can become self-hating, self-loathing. We can become self-abusive. We can create patterns of self-sabotage. Who can relate to that, right? Where we really want to create something, but somewhere we don't think we're good enough to be able to actually have that experience in our lives. So whether or not we're conscious of these patterns, they are running an undercurrent in our own subconscious. And that's why forgiveness is so powerful.
Yeah.
It,
It's so true. Because you're right. You're absolutely right. It gets down to that expectation. And I love that you said it's the expectation we
mm-hmm.
have of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's where we get tied up, because initially, okay, well, what's this root cause of this experience I'm trying to go through of forgiveness? And by the way, it is an experience, right? This is the experience of forgiveness that you are creating for yourself, for your own well-being and the well-being of those around you, right? Because if you're stuck in this victimhood, right? So if we're like, okay, what's the root? Why do I need this forgiveness? Well, I feel wronged. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a victim. I feel like someone's hurt me, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you focus on those feelings, you can now have a clear understanding of what you're going to go through. So forgiveness, right, is a process of transformation. That's
Yes.
if you think about just what's the bare bones of it, I'm in this current state of feeling wronged and victim and hurt and pain, and it's real, and I'm not discounting any of it. We've all been hurt, right? So I don't want to just go, well, I'm not hurt. You can't hurt me. I used to be that state, right? I don't need
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness because you can't hurt me. You're like, but that's not reality. And if we're hurt,
Mm-hmm.
we should acknowledge it and share it and work with someone who's there to support you. And that's what we're here to do, of course. But ultimately, this is the thing. If you're expecting them to fix you or to make this right, you could be waiting for more than a year, right? When you're taking all of that energy, like Adora just said, where energy or tension goes, energy flows,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you could and think about this for yourselves. Like, you may be sitting there stewing, and I've been here.
Yeah.
in the anguish, and you just want this resolved. You want whatever that feeling is, right? All of that energy is tied up into physically, like it is literally in your body like a toxin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cortisol, all these biochemicals that Adora was talking about. You're literally generating these toxic chemicals in your own soul, in your own body. And of course, it's with your brains and all of your organs. And you're like, and of course, this is how illness comes in and every other thing. So once you go, okay, I am no longer going to start generating that. And I'm not waiting, wanting,
Mm-hmm.
wishing for someone to fix me. I have no expectation from them,
Yeah.
right? And
I love that you said that. I
Mhm.
love that you said that, because resentment and bitterness and anger ends up becoming toxicity for our body, for our mind,
Mhm.
for our physicality, our cellular consciousness, our emotions, and our spirit. And then there is no other person involved. We are punishing ourselves, right? And this, if everyone that's here listening took this part away, that when we do not forgive, we are not able to fully open to love, and the resentment and bitterness and pain that builds from that becomes toxicity for our body, for every aspect of our existence, right down to our biochemical, the way our cells communicate with each other. And so we want to give you now some tools and tips that you can bring greater forgiveness into your life, your experience, because you can't forgive anyone outside of yourself until you start here
Mhm.
with the love, the compassion, the care, the forgiveness, and the love that you deeply desire. You ultimately want that from yourself, right? But we're trained and taught that everything we're looking for is outside of ourselves. But it is the journey within that brings us the greatest fulfillment. Because then when we come to relationship with others, our cup is full, it runneth over. That's a very different way to be in relationship, right? Because we are giving ourselves those primary emotional needs, and then when we go to bond with others in our life, we can do it from a place of much greater health and harmony. Shawn, do you want to share a couple of your favorite tips?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go back to you because I first of all, again, focus on your own feelings. Get clarity. Get clarity about how you're feeling, what you're going through, right? And I'm a big fan of spending time alone, right? Now people go, well, loneliness is the scariest thing, right? So the negative version of being alone is loneliness, and the
Mm-hmm.
positive experience of being alone is solitude.
Mm.
We get this opportunity, and this is what I'm talking about, and approach it with like this, because it's here to teach me. I'm here to learn and grow. I'm not here to build more vengeance. I'm not here to hang on to.
Mm.
I'm not here to be hateful in further future relationships or judgmental. The next one that you're creating, by the way. Okay.
Yes.
And if you're sitting here and you're still going, yeah, that's great. Yeah, okay, Doris, Shawn, yeah. I'm still feeling this thing. Okay. Because it is the consistency, it is the habit, the practice of what? Giving yourself forgiveness, understanding how
Mm.
you feel, and navigating your own emotional journey. Yours, because you are responsible, you are accountable for yourself, for your own emotions and your own feelings. Now, I don't mean self-shaming. I've been there before, where I went to the extreme of that, right? I'm all about taking responsibility and accountability for one's life, but I got to the extreme of like, oh my God, this is my fault, that's my fault, this is my fault, right? It can become self-shaming and really by
Mm.
the way, quite honestly.
So
And then
true.
the ways, right? I feel you. I say all the hearts and the love. So thank you. And here's the thing: if you're still hanging on to this, you're like, oh my gosh, okay. And it is like Adora was just saying, one small step. Okay, one small step of what? What am I going to do? Right? One small step of empathy and compassion for
Mm.
yourself. And if you have to, if you're triggered, so for example, you're about ready to get into another relationship and and I had this conversation with a client yesterday about, I just can't move forward. And we talked
Mm.
about
Mm-hmm.
the patterns of the past being stuck there, not being able to let go or go through the process of forgiveness. So any future relationship is already coming in with that toxicity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So true.
the first place to start is just go empathy. I don't know what that person's personal experience is who have hurt you, and the people who've hurt both of us in our lives, or any of us out there. Go, you know what? Empath, I love it. You go, I don't have to fix them, but I wish them well. That's it.
Mm.
Now you can get back to focusing on your own healing, your own process, so you can now create the next relationship, and you have a deeper understanding of your own self. So you're not carrying that into the next relationship and or the next experience. And you wouldn't waste a second on this again, knowing how painful and you get to go, wait, this person hurt me once. That's maybe the language, right? Right. You may say, okay, but now I am allowing it to happen every day.
Mm.
Wait, when you're done with that emotional experience and you're ready to create a new one, you will begin to stop and you'll start to have empathy for yourself. And then just take one small empathetic action every day for yourself. If you can't seem to let go of the external world, have empathy and compassion on that so you can get back to focusing on you.
Beautiful. I love that. Such valuable wisdom that you always bring to these wonderful conversations. It's just such a joy to come and share this wisdom with our community. A couple of things I want to share are, one, the power of essential oils. And here's why. And I want to preface this by saying pure essential oils that are actually from the plant materials have a very powerful effect on the brain. And when we think about forgiveness, what we're looking to heal from something in the past. And because the essential oils, when used by inhalation, have such an effect on the amygdala and the limbic centers of our brain that regulate mood, memory, and emotion, we can literally shift our mood and feeling experience in the moment. And even more powerful than that, we can also repattern those neural pathways from the expectation of future pain. And this is really important because this is the medicine. This is a medicine of the future, right? In terms of plant medicine and holistic health, because we can use specific essential oils that are biochemically active and are also vibrationally active, right? They carry the quintessence of the plant. So when we're going to use this technique that I'm going to share with you in a moment, and you use the essential oils via inhalation, some of my favorites for forgiveness. And quite interestingly, I was actually just I have a forgiveness formula that I'm bringing to an event that I'm teaching at this weekend. And I was actually just making this so beautifully, the synchronicity. But oils like magnolia leaf and flower, lavender, chamomile, clary sage, galbanum, rose, cistus, these are all wonderful for working with forgiveness and to bring that energy to ourselves, because forgiveness brings grace, right? And grace, as we know, what is it? It gives us solace, comfort, tranquility. So whatever essential oil you would like to use for this breathwork technique, it's called the Love Code breathwork technique for every modern alchemist, which is part of my Love Frequency program. But it's very simple and you can do it anywhere. Now, I've mentioned it here before, but for those of you that you weren't here or maybe missed it, it has 3 simple but profound breaths. And again, you're combining it with your intention, right? Because intention goes, our energy flows, our consciousness flows. So those 3 breaths are release, forgiveness, and gratitude. So I'm going to walk everyone through them. So think of something maybe in your life where you have been challenged with forgiveness, or something in this moment that you want to bring that energy of forgiveness into yourself. And the first breath of release, you take a deep breath in, which is very expansive, right? You're expanding your energy. And then on the exhalation, you are letting go of whatever that sense of discomfort is in your mind, your body, or your emotions. right? Because we know when we hold emotion, it gets stored in our body and it becomes heavy. So the breath in and the breath out of release, whatever that is that you are ready in this moment to let go of. Now, sometimes it takes us a few breaths of the release, that first one. That's okay. Just do that breath work until you feel a softening in your body, your muscles, a softening of your emotions, a sense of calm in your mind. And then you're ready for the breath of forgiveness. So that is a big, beautiful breath in, just inviting forgiveness to fill and flood your being with grace. And feel, you can actually feel this. It's so powerful. Simply with your intention and your breath, then you can further potentize it with your essential oil. So bringing in that forgiveness to any part of your body, any part of your emotions, any part of your mind that's calling out for it. And when you feel that sense of beautiful tranquility, then take a deep breath in of gratitude, right? Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies for creation on this planet. Gratitude has a way to restructure the brain. This is really profound. For those that have a consistent practice of gratitude, you actually have a greater positive outlook. Your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, which are those feel-good neurotransmitters, and so many more physiological benefits. Also, think about this. When you can take in a breath of gratitude to yourself for your courage and commitment to change, to better your lives, to create more harmony, to experience love in the way that you truly desire, it is liberating. Oh, I
Yeah.
see somebody wrote a question.
There's a
What if
lot
we
of
want?
questions here.
Yeah, there's
One
so
about,
many.
yeah, I love, well, Eliza, right? I got your first name right. It's a great question because I think a lot of people feel this, and I appreciate your candor and your honesty about it, because it's people like, what if, and the question is this, and ask yourselves this, by the way, if this is a place that you're in, let me get that right back up. What if we want to punish someone who has hurt us? Right, that's one question, which is we definitely all can feel.
Yeah.
If we aren't ready to forgive yet, they haven't apologized, right? And I will pull. Let me just kind of pull that apart a little bit, and I'll certainly let Adora share her wisdom as well. But a lot of what you're talking about, Eliza, and this is the thing that we were where I started with, that emotional forgiveness, that place that you're looking for, this experience that you're going from, you want to get from one place to another, right at the moment, is predicated on them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, things that you're describing, talk about punishing them. They haven't apologized, right? So each day you're dependent, your emotional state, your current experience is dependent. Again, you're allowing them or giving them that power. What you're suggesting at the moment, I love that you're doing this, because this is what the work is about for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You're going, wow, I need them to do something for me to feel good, right? Right? We're all there. We get there daily, right?
Yeah.
So that recognition, just the awareness of like, I am dependent on this person from saying something to me. Apologize, right? And an apology is what? Really, anybody could say anything, but really an apology is proof that you're taking action on what you are sorry for, right? That's really what an apology is, right? Because I've heard, I'm sorry, but I've seen no change in behavior. So focus on your feelings, the emotional empowerment that you get to start to generate for yourself, one small thing at a time, and just recognize like, wow, I'm still waiting for them. I want to punish them. So if your intention, and this is true, right? Like, I want to punish them. That's my intention. Okay, get to the root. Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to hurt someone else? Because I want them to feel like I do. I'm not saying this is healthy. What I'm suggesting is you're doing not a biopsy, right? But you're actually doing an autopsy, a little bit like, why? But I want to punish them. I want them to hurt like I hurt. Why do I want them to hurt like I hurt? Well, because this is an awful feeling. But I want someone else to feel what I feel when I feel this bad. Don't judge yourself, but just take you there. I want to hear Adora's thoughts as well, right?
Oh,
And
I love that. Yeah, I think it's so important because we've always got to bring it in. And the truth is, you don't have to forgive that person until you're ready. It's not something we can force. But what you can do is bring forgiveness into your being to the places where you're holding that anger, that sadness, that tense heaviness, those feelings that you know aren't serving you. Here's a wonderful, a very practical, and profound tool. It's called Ho'oponopono. And many of you may have heard of it. If you haven't, there is a blog on my website that talks about it. It's also in the Adora Frequency book that I think you can download the first chapter for free on the website at thesoulinstitute.co. And I'll put that in just a moment. But you can also find out more information about our programs in California and Malibu, the Manifest Your Soulmate workshop, one-day beautiful retreat, and then the couples retreat on sacred relationship. But this practice of Ho'oponopono, and we don't really have time to get into the full story, but please do some research on it. And it was created by this practice as we know it today. Of course, it's an ancient Hawaiian practice of forgiveness, energy clearing, and blessing. And it has 4 very simple phrases. I love you, thank you, please forgive me, and thank you, I love you, please forgive me. And am I forgetting one? Oh, I'm sorry.
mm,
Right? But here's the thing. We do it to ourselves. We take that reflection inward. It's not projected outward, because the basic premise here is that we are responsible for all of the creations in our lives. And so when we bring that to the point within us, to the point within me, where I have created this experience of disharmony, of dysfunction, whatever it may be, discontent, disease, whether it's inner or outside of us, right, within another person, this practice that you can do here, there, and everywhere, even in line at the grocery store, is so powerful. And I've been using it with clients for many, many, many years. And of course, in my own personal healing journey. So you take the situation, it could be an individual in your life that someone mentioned. It could be something that's happening maybe in your health or your finances. And you simply bring the focus inward to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you.
yeah,
And again, it's so important to remind ourselves that change, transformation doesn't always have to be difficult or painful, right? We can bring greater simplicity into our lives through connecting with our hearts. And I can't believe, Shawn, it's already a half
I
hour.
know.
So we're going to
I
wrap up
know.
here.
Oh, I wanted to add something to that because those are such beautiful words. And anybody, those who are struggling, and there's another question is, how come I'm better at forgiving other people, but not so good at forgiving myself? And those words that we so often say, I love you, thank you, right? But if you really just take the time and imbue them with energy, and this is another thing, and I've experienced this, and I'll share this quick, because I had someone hurt me decades ago, and I ran into this person at least decades after that. And I said, which I just like, first of all, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, blah, blah, blah. But I said, thank you. Thank you for teaching me how to be a better human being, right? We bumped into each other, right? And of course, that energy feels like it's unhealed because I can't, we just totally went separate ways. But think about that as you go through this process of forgiveness, go, thank you for teaching me. And you come up with that word, patience. Thank you for teaching me self-love. And ultimately, self-understanding is one of the great byproducts of any painful experience if we approach it with a sense of I love you, right? And just
Mhm.
stop and look at yourself in the mirror. I mean this. Look yourself right in the eye. I love you. And that
Yeah.
it sounds uncomfortable just sitting still, but I would encourage you to look at yourself lovingly. So the habit and the practice of that is powerful. You're not looking for someone else to say, hey, I love you, or validate you, or any of that. The power comes from within, and your ability to say these very words that Adora was just talking about. But thank
Mhm.
you. The gratitude of this experience. You can thank this person in your own space, your
Yeah.
own time, your own love letter. If you want, send it to yourself. Thank you for teaching me whatever
Mm.
that lesson is. Power
Mm.
stuff.
So true. Because ultimately, everyone that we come into contact with is our teacher. We forget
That's,
that.
that's life. Right? That is
Yeah.
life. It's the beauty. We're blessed to have. We talked about this in another talk, but the spectrum of aliveness,
Yeah.
of pain, of sorrow, of compassion, of love, of joy. Like, wow, how lucky and blessed are we? I know you're like,
Beautiful.
that's great when you're in love. It's a little harder when you're in pain. But as you transform that for yourself,
Mm.
and you're here doing the work. So thank you for showing up, by the way.
Yes, and keep joining us. Also, please visit thesoulinstitute.co. We have a lot of resources, free meditations, blogs, insight, inspiration, tools for your journey, and certainly alohalifecoaching.com, is it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Aloha Life
Also, a
Coaching.
wonderful resource for many, many tools to support your journey of healing, of growth, and ultimately the creation of the love and relationships that you truly desire. We look forward to seeing all of you that are joining us in California in a few weeks. Otherwise, we will see you next Thursday right here.
Indeed. Thank you all.
Blessings, everyone. Ciao for now.
Bye.